Hey, hello and welcome to Explanatory Live. We are happy to have you here with us today. Today we're looking at some lenses and we're going to be checking out what is the best lens for your live stream. So let's check it out right here. We made a list of some things here that you can look at. We want to check out these lenses that we have here. The number one thing that we want for our live stream is a large aperture. So here we have a 3.5 aperture, a 4, and a 1.8. Now why is it that we want that large aperture in our scenes? Well, as we can see in this shot, you have the bokeh that's in the back. So like these lights over here, they're kind of blurred out, right? And the blurry background is what we want to go for. So the lower our aperture number, the more blurry our background will be. Now, of course, you can get closer to the camera and things will get, really blurred out. So you see how the bokeh is working there in the back? That's what we really like. That's what looks nice on our live streams, right? And when we're going live, we're thinking about what kind of lens we're going to use. So again, we go back to the desk here. We can see these lenses are all priced differently. They each have positives and negatives. But what we really recommend is, boom, this one right here. The one we are using right now, which is the G Master FE 24mm F1.4 GM. So you see this is the lowest possible aperture size. And the lower the number means actually the bigger the aperture, so it's kind of confusing. But you can see these other options here. It's 3.5, 4, 1.8. Now these are fixed lenses, at least this one is the one we're using right now. This is a fixed lens. And this is a zoom lens, so not fixed, and this is a zoom, so not fixed. But let's just check out what this shot looks like. Now, I did some pre-recorded video to see, what each of these lenses look like, how they look different on camera. So let's start with this one right here. This is the 3.5, and you can see we got crazy zoom. This is a very versatile lens, actually. I would recommend this lens if you're only buying one. I use this all through different trips all over Europe. Actually, it was a lot of fun, and it was great. It was a little heavy, but if you want to take some shots of some birds that are flying like crazy far away, you can do that. And you can see here it's f3.5 to 6.3 aperture. And it's 24mm to 240mm, which is insane. Let's see if we can see through that. Yep, there you go. So you see the size of that circle? The larger that circle is, the more light it's going to let in, and the more blurry our backgrounds are going to be. So you can see, like, if I go to this one, which is a F1.8 aperture, right? This is a fixed lens, a beautiful lens. We're going to look at this too. This is a 55mm. But, okay, so here you see, right? So, like I said, the larger the circle, the more light it lets in. So I'm going to open this up. I don't really recommend doing this, but this will help us see. The one we were just looking at was 3.5. Now we're going to look at 1.8. Can you see how huge that aperture is? I mean, that is just letting in tons and tons of light. I mean, look at that. It's beautiful, and you're going to see how nice that is. And then this would be a really small aperture at f4, which actually isn't considered small. It's just that the G Master, the 1.4, this one just kind of blew everybody out of the water. But if you look at the 1.4, this is kind of the one that Casey Neistat uses and all the vloggers. Now, you see how small that is. That's f4. That's how much light, so little light is getting in there. But it has, you know, it has its place too in your camera kit if you're also, you know, shooting photos. This is great for wide angle shots, and you always know you're going to be in focus more or less. This is a yeah, there it is, f4, 10mm to 18. So this is a nice, I would recommend all of these actually, but for live streaming I really recommend the Sony G Master 24mm. Again, let's check out the difference. Let's look at the difference. This right here, this shot right here is the Sony G Master 24mm with 2.4 aperture, but let's go to, like I was saying, the F.3.5, and here is a recorded video. This is the F.3.5. Now you can see it's actually not that bad, but you can see a lot more detail in the back, which is probably what we don't want, right? We want that nice blurry background. Now if you get closer to the lens, yes, you're gonna get that nice blurry background, but most of us do not want our camera, our face all up in the lens. And here you can see the details. Again, guys, all these cameras, they're linked below, so you can find more information on them. But this is, it's a nice camera, and you can see the zoom capabilities are pretty insane. You're not going to be doing this for live streaming, but again, it's a versatile lens that you can use for just about anything. So, you know, if you're live streaming at home and then you want to throw this lens in your bag and go traveling, like you can see all those crazy wires back there and stuff like that. So, again, this is, we're talking about getting this blurry background. What's the best for live streaming? So, if you're just doing live streaming, I would not really, you know, recommend this, the f3.5 aperture of a lens. But a great, like I said, great all-around lens. And just to make it clear here, by the way, we are using a full sensor, no crop on this camera. This is a Sony A7 II. I also use the A7 III. A lot of people use the AS camera. They're less expensive, but if you're going to get the equipment, get a nice camera that you can use not only for live streaming, but then it's more versatile for, you know, other things that you're doing with your camera, such as beautiful photography and you know, footage, B-roll that you can shoot also with your camera. So again, let's look now. Let's go to this lens, which is, as I was saying before, the Casey Neistat lens that he recommends. This is a f4 aperture. Now you're going to see the difference here. Like I was saying, it lets very little light. And if we look at the test footage here, you can see how wide this lens is, right? This is a 10mm right now. Now look how much you are seeing, you know, in the studio. But also notice how the background is not blurry at all, right? So this is a problem that I think a lot of people here on the YouTubes run into. They buy these vlogging cameras, which is great because if you're walking, you can't really see your lens, you can't see where you're going. This is a great camera, a great lens to use. But again, the wide angle, maybe not the best for a live stream, and also you're not going to get that blurry background. Now check out how you can really zoom in at 10, 18mm. It gives you some leeway. And also what I like about this lens is how quick it is on the focus, right? Some of these other lenses, especially with the larger apertures, you start to run into a problem of getting those quick autofocuses. But this lens, I didn't have a problem getting things into focus, especially on the AS2. Okay, so let's check out this other one here, the F1.8. Now this was my first lens, and man, I just love this lens. This is just a beautiful lens. But this is a 55mm, which means if you're doing live streaming with this, you really got to have your camera, you know, pretty far away from your desk, which is again why you know, we're going from 55 and I recommend a 24 millimeter. Of course, with the larger aperture. But just for fun, let's check out what this looks like. This is a nice, beautiful aperture, huge aperture at 1.8, 55 millimeter. Again, the camera is staying exactly in the same place for all of these shots. So let's check it out here. So boom, right in your face. That 55 millimeter does not give you much space, but check out that background. If all you care about is the background, then yeah, you can get that 55 millimeter. Of course, you could solve this if you have a huge room. You know, you could move the camera far away from your desk, move it back, and then you know, you'll be good to go. Also, guys, I want to remind you, if you're enjoying any of this content, if any of this is helpful, please subscribe. Also, we have a giveaway that I'm going to talk about shortly. But here you can see that, again, the focus is actually pretty good. I mean, again, these are fixed lenses, right? So you're going to have a good time with those lenses. So, again, let's just look at the G Master f/24 millimeter 1.4. This is the test video. Of course, I'm using it now also, but you can see right away, this is the lens to go with for live streaming. I mean, it's really, really versatile. You know, the autofocus, it could use some improvement, but on the A7 III, it is a little, you know, faster. But again, so much light coming into this lens. It's really insane. Look at those lights in the background. You know, you gotta tip your hat off to these guys for achieving the 1.4 G Master size. Now, what are the prices on these? If you're so interested, it's in the description below. But just to give you, you know, quick information here, this is the most expensive lens, of course, with the 1.4 aperture. But check that out in the description. They're all linked with affiliate links. And like I was saying, we do have a free giveaway if you are doing live streaming, which is right here at explanatorylive.com/worksheet. And that's a worksheet that's going to help you with your live streams, help you organize them, help you figure out how you're supposed to say what you want to say and do what you want to do, etc. Also, if you've made it to this far in the video, I have something that I want to share with you. Check this out. This is the Stream Deck, right? Now, we're working on the details right now, but we are going to be giving away 3 Elgato Stream Decks. We have not worked out the details yet, how we're going to select, but we know it will be from a subscriber. So if you subscribe, you will be added to that list. We don't yet know if the timeline will be about 1 month in or 2 months to select